Welcome to another Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. Jason Bristol here with Jeremy Booth. This is Season 1, Episode number 2.
Yeah, this is 2.
They allowed us to do this a second time.
It feels like that first one was just yesterday.
Well,
yeah.
In full disclosure, we're actually taping 2 episodes on the same day. It's a long story, but basically someone needs some time off after being on the road. So Jeremy Booth, former Major League Scout, Jason Bristol here from KHOU 11. Being that you were a former Major League Scout, I'm just so fascinated by the scouting process and where we are at this point in the scouting season. Because, yes, it's April, mid-April, but we're getting so close to that June draft. So when you were scouting about this time, what would your week or day look like knowing that we are inching closer towards the biggest day of the scouting season and the biggest days?
So, you only get 4 months in the spring season to see the players. You do all this work in the summer and in the fall, and it used to be a little, in years past, but leading up to the next spring when you're going to select these guys. Right around now, by April 15th, we had something we call the turn. Mm-hmm. And the turn is, okay, you've seen your area or your region or the country, and now you're going to go back and focus on what else you need to see, okay? So right around now, first of all, I forgot where home was. That doesn't happen, right? I wasn't getting home. Second of all, my bags were packed, and I had a list that I was going to check off again for the guys we were going to take high in the draft, all the way from the first round. You see those guys 3 or 4 times, all the way to the 10th round.
So
where I'd focus.
The turn specifically is for guys you think will go in the first 10 rounds.
For depending on where you fit, yes.
Yeah.
You should have the rest of that stuff cleared up. You should be good enough at it to know where the guys fit after the 10th round and focus on those 30 or 40 guys that you're going to pay. You're going to pay a lot of money to these guys in the draft, so you need to focus on that. So right around now it got fun because you got to kind of whittle it down. You saw guys you liked. You saw good players. You were putting the list together, and you're getting prepared to go to that draft room in about a month.
How many guys would you try and see in a day? 2, 3?
It depended where I was going. If I was going to see University of Houston or Cal State Fullerton, then I would try to match teams up now and see as many as 20. It didn't match. Some days you go see LSU, for example,
and they've got
Texas, and they've got
a stable,
guys, right?
Yeah.
So you go see that, and then you go focus on the high school kid who you might pay a little money to, and it's just him. So it just really depends on the day and how you would go.
Scouting the colleges is so much easier because you have. Let me rephrase that. In most places,
sure.
I mean, here high school baseball here is so unbelievable.
It is in Texas, no
doubt. It's not like just going to see one guy because you never know when you might see another guy that perhaps wasn't a guy when you first saw him.
That's how you find them all. Usually, I go see Jason Bristol play, and I have Rod Serling behind him, right? That's what I'm gonna go see. So, you would go see the colleges, and because they're more focused, they're a weeding out process anyway. They take the best of the high school and they put them in college, and you'd have a chance to see as many as you could in one spot. Line those guys up, and that's how you get your list.
I'm so interested in this Cardinals rookie pitcher named Jordan Hicks.
Yes, sir.
Who is now he's Mr. Fastball, Mr. hardest thrower in Major League Baseball, taking that title away from Aroldis Chapman. He has, at last count, the 11 fastest pitches right now in Major League Baseball. And by my count, he is also the first high school pitcher drafted from the 2015 draft to make the major leagues. How does a guy like that last until the 3rd round, who was a Tulane commit, and now 3 years later, he's gone from high school to the majors, and he's the hardest thrower in the bigs? How do people miss a guy like that?
Well,
I mean, granted, I know he was throwing 92, 93 in high school.
That's pretty good.
Which is darn good.
That's not bad. I mean, we're talking about, there's a guy this year that we'll talk about in a minute, but there's guys that for some reason it has to be obvious. Well, 104 or 196, whatever this kid's throwing right now, is obvious, right? It's obvious. So, I mean, you got triple digits, and he's taken away from Aroldis Chapman, who was the hardest thrower for, 3 years in a row? 4 years in a row?
Maybe more than that. It's got to be more than that.
So, I mean, it's something where this kid's an athlete. It's something where he has a loose arm, which means very fast and very free. It's something that the Cardinals saw in him, and instead of guys walking by somebody, the Cardinals said, "We'll take you. Yeah, we got that. We'll get that done." And took him in the 3rd round. He's always gone into the minor leagues. Is thrown hard, and he's found some kind of feel and command. And guess what? Big leagues.
He skipped AA and AAA, which, let's be honest, that's nearly unheard of. You do not I can you think of a guy that skipped double in AAA in the last how many years?
One other guy, and it was the same organization, Albert Pujols,
but
out of A-ball.
And here's the difference, because he was college, Maple Woods Junior College,
not out of high school.
Not out of high school. No. So for a high school guy to skip that's incredible. His high school, the coach at Cy Creek, where he went to high school, told me that he was 92, 93 in 2015 as a senior, and he thought, okay, yeah, he goes to Tulane, maybe he gets up to 96, 97, but he is averaging 99 miles an hour right now.
He's averaging 99.
Averaging.
That's a speeding ticket anywhere you go.
It is, to me, Ohtani aside, to me, it's one of the most fascinating stories in this baseball season.
I mean, I can't remember anybody doing that. I remember stories well before any of this was relevant, where it was Mike Morgan, maybe.
Oh, yeah, 1970s, right. Late 1978. I believe he was drafted in 1978. Drafted by the A's. Charlie Finley was looking to save a buck.
That's right.
And took him, and yes, David Clyde.
There you go, Rangers.
Rangers from Houston, yes, I believe.
Yes, sir.
So those are the type, back in the days, yeah, we saw those guys jump. But Brian Milner, a catcher for the Blue Jays.
It's funny. I talked to Brian Milner not too long ago.
Wow.
He's up in North Texas. I talked to Brian Milner. Yeah, it's I think his son is Hobie Milner. And Hobie Milner is pitching in the big leagues, or he was for somebody.
I don't know that for a
University
fact.
of Texas guy. So.
1978, 4th overall.
Yeah, there you go. And I think he was pitching in Oakland that night.
He was
right. So he was right there. But no, I mean, this is really something rare, and the Cardinals did a really good job of digging him out.
All right, let's we're going to talk a lot of Astros on this show, obviously.
Sure.
And they pick towards the end of the draft. That's what you do when
28.
you win the World Series. And one thing that has struck me is there's this kid in Texas named Grayson Rodriguez. And you know him very well because he's been part of your New Balance Future Stars Series international event that was this past year in Sugar Land at Constellation Field.
Yes, sir.
This kid is up to 98. He is rocketing up draft boards. Yeah. Is this a guy that perhaps, and I know that it's April and we're a ways away from the June draft, they have that scouting term, helium. Certainly, this guy's got helium. But is this a guy that perhaps we could see the Astros taking?
He has to fit there. He's got to fit in that range. I mean, I saw Mike Elias, who still runs the draft for the Astros, now the assistant GM, in undisclosed location, because I'm not going to give up where Mike was. But and we talked about who he was watching, and he kind of looked at me about the player he was there to see, and he said, "This kid going to be no, Mike, he's not going to be there." And then all of a sudden, Grayson comes out of the woodwork, and now it's 98. Okay, Grayson's a starter. He's 95, 96 anyway. He was 93, 95 last summer. But what's happened is that this added velocity is making him more attractive. So, we talk about command, we talk about secondary, and Grayson has that. He has some command, he has some feel, and he has some secondary stuff to go with it. But this 98's 98. 98's 98, and it just is what it is. And for the Astros at 28, with where they sit in their system, adding this type of guy at 28, they took Forrest Whitley at 17, added him there, and looking at that now, he's one of the best prospects in baseball. I could see Grayson Rodriguez absolutely fitting at 28.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is after you listen to this podcast, you can impress your friends and neighbors by saying, I've been looking at the draft a little bit, and I think I got a name that perhaps the Astros, might be an attractive fit. I mean, he's a Texas A&M commit, right?
Right.
And he checks the boxes for a guy at that position.
Yeah, he's 6'5", 230 pounds, maybe 220 pounds, and big, strong, strapping starter type.
Will he be gone by 28 or no?
I don't think so, and here's why I don't think so. And again, anything's possible. We still have another month, and they're about to enter the high school playoffs in his state, but he was under-scouted for me. And let me back up. He wasn't under-scouted. He was underappreciated.
He's from Nacogdoches.
Yeah, Central Heights High School, right? And he was underappreciated.
6'5", 230.
Yeah, there you go. He was unappreciated last summer. He pitched in the area code games, okay, in Southern California. He pitched in our event. He pitched for in the MLB PDP. Those guys saw him here. And then he pitched in Cary for Team USA in the 80-man trials, right? And didn't advance beyond any of that. So his punctuation came in our event, which was the last event of the summer, but nobody else picked up on him. He was underappreciated because it wasn't already 98. But you know what? How many 6'5", 230-pound guys are you walking by with good curveballs with 95 miles an hour that can throw strikes with both? Not many at 17. So I'm glad for Grayson and the Astros, absolutely. If they're picking 28, which they are, and he's in that range where he fits on the draft board, that's probably about right.
And I bring this up only because that's what we're going to talk about on this podcast. We're going to talk a lot of scouting. We're going to talk a lot of the inner workings of these scouting rooms and perhaps some of these players that you can get a jump on and probably many of you have already heard of. But to me, I just saw where he had been kind of rising up draft boards, and I think he's probably in the top 50 now.
Yeah, most people are having him somewhere between 28 and 40. And
listen, that's where the Astros pick. So to me, that's a guy, and the system is still a very good system.
Sure.
But they've had a lot of graduations, and they've also had guys that they've had to deal to bring in the players that they want. McCann, Verlander, etc.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If the Corpus Christi Hooks, God bless them, win the Texas League, do you care?
No.
No. Okay, but if the Houston Astros lose 100 games, do you care?
Of course.
Of course we do. It's all about winning at the major league level. And the Astros have a chance right now in this window to capitalize. They got the pieces here. They got Altuve locked up through age 34 season. You've got Springer locked up for what, 3 more years?
2
plus the 1?
2 plus the 1,
so you've got 3. You've got Verlander here for 1 more. You've got McCullers here for 2 more, right? You've got Correa here till who knows when, right? You've got the window.
Mm-hmm.
You don't necessarily need to have the best system in AAA. You need some help to be there. This is the time to go get this high school talent and let it grow because you need it to arrive to help when the window is closing.
Because they have drafted guys, college. I mean, you look at the pitcher last year out of North Carolina, J.B. Bukauskas.
Yeah.
And
he went, what, 6?
Where was he? And at 15.
Oh,
he was 15.
Yeah, and that was the Cardinals.
But you know, it's interesting. And in our last podcast, Jeremy talked about how much he loved a certain pitcher from Oakland and New York named Sonny Gray. And it's interesting that I guess some people, the comp for Bukauskas is Sonny Gray.
Okay, let's take it easy.
Okay.
I've seen JB, great arm.
Mm-hmm.
Saw him when I think he went to school early, actually.
Okay. An early enrollee.
I remember talking about him when he was in high school. But Sonny Gray, I don't know where I can start. I don't know where I can stop when I hit the pause button. I mean, this kid was one of the most fun people, the most fun scouting reports I ever wrote. One of the best. I must have seen him pitch 37 times. It was
37 times.
I mean, it might have been 100. I don't know. I saw him pitch as much as possible. Bukauskas has a good arm. I think he's a reliever.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to help in the big leagues, which, the Astros need relievers anyway. So if you get a college kid at 15, he's going to be quick to the big leagues and throw a lot of strikes and throw hard. That's fine too. But, it's a time to replenish. You have a time to replenish. Derek Fisher's in the big leagues now. Kyle Tucker's not far away. Should he still be here? We never know how that's going to play out.
Sure.
But right now, he's here. Should he still be here? Forrest Whitley's in AA when he comes back. So, the help is at the upper levels right now. So it's time to go get some stuff underneath it and see what you got.
Should be interesting as we move into the season with Fisher and Jake Marisnick has been struggling at the plate.
Yeah.
Is Tucker an option? I mean, certainly I know that the service time is always an issue when teams are thinking nowadays, but that window is there. I don't know if Tucker.
Whose spot does he take for you? I mean, not Marisnick in the everyday lineup, because if Tucker gets here, he's got to play every day.
Oh, without a doubt.
So who does he take?
Listen, you're right. I mean, you move Marwin to left, which they did in the playoffs. You've got Springer and Reddick, and then you've got Gurriel at first. So, I mean, yeah.
Does he pass Fisher for you? I know that's a tough one.
That is a tough one. For me,
I
have a long history with Derek Fisher, having watched him and covered him in high school.
Put your Jeff Luhnow hat on.
Well, I don't have to listen. I don't have to put that hat on. I think if you talk to every evaluator in baseball, they probably have Tucker above Springer, or above Fisher rather. So
I have him above Springer. You might be right. He's special. Kyle Tucker is special, and I love players. You have to, because that was my job. You have to like players, but Tucker's pretty good, man. This is the real deal.
Well, we saw that in spring training, and he's gotten off to a relatively strong start in AAA.
He's in Fresno.
He is in Fresno.
20,
he is a
He's
grizzly / taco. So he is he's both of those.
I love that name.
Oh, it's the best. I mean, really, they're one of the teams, I think, along with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, that have really embraced the food theme.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, I mean, Lehigh Valley was all about bacon. And now you see Redding with the whoopie pies and things like that.
By the way, did you see Reddick hit that ball today? I mean, he hit that ball like 96 rows deep.
And I don't think he tweeted, I need a hit, I need a hit. I don't think he tweeted that.
Yeah, matter of fact, I was looking at what he was doing earlier, and he's up over 300 now. I know it's for after starting 0 for 7, whatever, 0 for 8 in Texas and being frustrated with that tweet. He's over 300. He's got a couple home runs. He's swung the bat well, and he's got it going a little bit. He's made Marisnik the 5th outfielder now. I mean, I know it's early. It's 15, 17, 18 games in, but, I've never been, Josh, I'm sorry, a big Josh Reddick fan. I believe in his ability at the big league level. I think he hits right-handers, and I get it, right? However, he is continuing to prove that he's what this team needs right now, and he's doing a great job.
Other than the playoffs last year, I mean, he's been a terrific addition. Terrific addition.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got to win those playoffs, man.
Well,
you
listen,
win those playoffs.
They won it all. So I mean, yeah, there you go. This is perhaps my favorite part of the podcast is when we go back into the Jeremy Booth archives and look at past scouting reports from players that Jeremy has scouted.
Confidential.
Not anymore. We are ripping off that confidential sticker, and today we have a third baseman out of Cal State Fullerton who, was seen in 2014, graduated in 2015. The list, or the scouting report says Jonathan Davis, but we know him, Astros people, as J.D. Davis. What do you remember about J.D. Davis, or should I read the report first?
All right, let me just go from memory, because I actually haven't read that
in
a while. I did look at it. In fairness,
you saw him in 2014 on May 23rd.
Yeah, I saw him. So he was on Cal State Fullerton's team.
You saw him for 10 games, it says.
I saw a lot of J.D. Davis. J.D. Davis and Matt Chapman, who's in the big leagues with the A's, were on the same club. And at the time, they were both third basemen. And Chapman was one of the best defenders I've ever seen playing third base. J.D. Davis played some first base. One guy played some outfield. And Chapman played some short, right, at the same time. Just get those guys in the lineup. J.D. Davis reminded me of an old-time player, and I say old, no offense, I'm sorry, I know time has passed, Tim Wallach. Tim Wallach had a lot of power, could really play third base, could throw, but he was a bat, right? And I thought J.D. Davis was going to hit. I think I had 55 hit on there, which means above average from 275. Like
so we're working on the 20 to 80 scouting scale, 20 being useless, right?
Zero,
no value. 80 being Hall of Famer, top 5% in the game?
Absolutely, yeah. I thought J.D. Davis was going to be a useful big leaguer. I thought he was going to help, score, drive in some runs and be a run producer. He had 20 home run power in him. I thought he was a corner guy for sure. So, 275, 20, 25 home runs and 80 to 100 RBIs is what I thought he could do. And again, as an amateur scout, you're dreaming. Mm-hmm. But I definitely thought in the third round where these guys took him, I do believe it was the third round, right? In the third round.
He was drafted in the third round.
Yeah, when these guys took him, it was a pretty good pick.
So let me just read this. On the 20 to 80 scouting scale, you put present and future raw power 70, big to all fields, better to right field. Arm strength 60, power production 55 in the future. And when you say power production,
that's home runs.
That's home runs.
That's pure home runs.
Pure home runs. Hitting ability 45 present, 55 future.
Yep.
Consistent hard contact, some length, stays through the ball. Plate discipline 55, takes pitches, deep counts. Arm strength, I just mentioned. Arm accuracy 50, loses release points, stays above the ball, okay, flexible with footwork direction. But again, here you had scouted him as a third baseman, and we mostly have seen him in a first base role with the Astros.
He's not going to play anywhere else in Houston. He's got Bregman, he's got Gonzalez, and he's got Gurriel ahead of him if he needs to. He's not going to play anywhere else.
And the summary was regular third baseman, middle order, power bat in major league role, loud bat with all fields power and feel to use it, good long at bats, patience and discipline, gets long to the ball some, but makes up for it through the zone and with his pitch recognition. Plenty of arm for third base, will make the routine play, run-producing instincts, but has feel to build innings as well. Sees breaking ball well, drives, strikes to all fields, potential to go through the lower minors quickly, offensive ceiling. He was drafted in 2004. You put an ETA on J.D. Davis of 2017.
So he got there in 3 years. Is that right? 2014 he signed, and he showed up this year.
Showed up in 2017. You were on the money, my friend. You were on the money.
There you go.
Now, it's funny. When you write Tim Wallach as a player comparison, that's your best guess? That is the ceiling?
That's who he reminds me of, and yes, that's definitely the ceiling. That's what, if all goes right, that's who he is, right? Tim Wallach was an all-star.
He was.
But he was back then, 270 and 25 that's what you did, right?
He was a 5-time All-Star,
Right.
3-time Gold Glover. So you were really dreaming on J.D. Davis.
I was.
But there's nothing wrong with that because he's your guy and you're trying to sell him, right, to the organization?
Yeah, but I believed in him too. I mean, I believed in him too. I mean, Matt Chapman was the higher ceiling prospect with everything he could do. But J.D. Davis, man, he could hit. I mean, he could just hit. And you got to believe that what he's done in the minors, 15, 16, 17, and whatever time he had in 14, he hit in the system too. Went to spring training and he hit there. He doesn't go to Houston. So, he'll be fine. He has a chance to be the answer for the future.
He's 25.
That's about right. I mean, the Astros have some options in AAA. AJ Reed is down there. J.D. Davis is down there. Tyler White, I don't think fits anymore here. I don't. But I think they've got some options there, which could help them down the line, one way or the other.
J.D. Davis in 2015 with Lancaster,
Yep.
26-101, 289 batting average. Now, granted, it's the California League. Stats are always inflated there. Texas League is also a good hitters league.
Sure.
268, 2381. OPS 818, 872. Off to a good start in Fresno. Not a surprise there, but 10 times. So what is the optimal amount of times to see a guy?
We talked about the college scouting, right? That's Cal State Fullerton. They have 9 guys on the field. You're going to see them a lot. I'm usually 20 at-bats before I'm comfortable with a hitter. I can see tendencies right away, whether some swing flaw or some pitch recognition issue. You can see that. But before I can tell you what a hitter is going to do over time, you need to see them 4 or 5, at least for me, 4 or 5 different times. I just happened to go see these guys a bunch because where we were picking. We had a chance. 2014, and we took Alex Jackson.
All right, so this is from the Mariners. I don't know if I mentioned or not. This is from your time with the Mariners.
We took Alex Jackson in the first round, and JD wasn't going to fit there, but he could have fit in the second round. Could have fit in the third round.
Probably should have taken
him. We had some guys we passed over there. I can't get into that, but
sure.
We had some guys we passed, and JD was a pretty good player.
Yeah, Alex Jackson is.
How's he doing with the Braves?
Let's see.
Mississippi.
258, AA.
Yeah.
But he's still only 22, but still.
AJ, I thought, was Miguel Cabrera. We took him 6th in the country. That was his comparison. If all goes right.
Miguel Cabrera.
He got a chance to one of the best hitters in the game.
Miguel Cabrera.
And, he had a little slow start in Seattle, but he's 22 years old in AA, so he's working through it.
And catching,
right?
There's some value there.
Yeah, we moved him to right field because of his bat was so advanced, but, he's back behind the plate. Maybe that's what's going to work.
All right. So there is our scouting report on J.D. Davis from 2014. So, all right, man, I think number 2 is in the books.
Yeah, looks good to me.
All right, so it has been. So, all right, guys, thanks for listening and, of course, watching on YouTube. This has been Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. If you have any comments, questions, whatever, you know how to reach us. And, again, as always, thanks for checking us out here on Extra Bases. Take care, everybody.